Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. March of the Machine is here! We've recently been treated to the full set list and all of the sweet reprints and even 5 new Commander decks associated with the set. Upgrade guides coming soon, I promise. But what I am shocked about is the combo potential of a few of the commanders in this set. I've spoken at length about how Wizards is designing to prevent infinite combos in the command zone with design, using language to prevent loops, and restricting triggers to once per turn. But that's all out of the window with these 3 legendary team-ups: Kroxa and Kunoros, Zimone and Dina, and Shalai and Hallar. These 3 legendary duos have some crazy infinite combos they enable while being able to be in the command zone. Some similar to combos we've seen before, and some brand new, and pretty wild. But before we look at each of these and start your brewing adventure, be sure to hit all of those good buttons, subscribing to the channel and liking this video if you've learned of a new combo. Real members of the crew hit the bell too to make sure you never miss a video. Let's start with the Theros pairing of Kroxa and Kunoros. This 6-mana Mardu matchup is a 6/6 Elder Giant dog with Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. While that's cool, here's what we're concerned with. Whenever K&K enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is an interesting ability because it's what's called a reflexive trigger. While it's all one paragraph of text, the "when you do" clause doesn't go on the stack until after you exile the cards. Okay, Poindexter, so what does that mean we can do with it? Well, if we sacrifice K&K when they enter the battlefield to, say, an Altar of Dementia with the trigger on the stack, milling ourselves for 6 cards, we can exile 5 of those 6 cards and actually target K&K with their own trigger. Note that it doesn't say another target creature. This creates a loop where we net 1 card in our graveyard each time and can mill through our entire libraries. In Modern, this means you could choose to reanimate a Thassa's Oracle with the final trigger, but in Commander, we could, say, ping down the entire table with a Sir Conrad out. Or we could use the final trigger to bring back a Revelark Karmic Guide loop and use the same Altar of Dementia to mill out all of our opponents. This would also trigger enters the battlefield effects a whole bunch of times, so having a Terror of the Peaks or a Purphoros God of the Forge out would resolve in blasting everyone for lethal. This combo is new and fresh and interesting, and I'm really excited to see if it makes an impact on the format. I know there are some high power builds already being brewed. Worst case scenario, your commander is still a 6/6 Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink that reanimates on enter the battlefield or attacks. Just a real solid commander all around. Next up is the Strixhaven pairing of Zimone and Dina. This 3-mana Sultai Human Dryad is a 3/4 with the ability, whenever you draw your 2nd card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. But again, it's the second ability that we're interested in. They can tap and sacrifice another creature to draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more lands, you can repeat this process. Note that you do not have to pay the costs again if you get this free repeat. This ability may look familiar. It's not the same, but it's similar to cards like Walking Atlas or Sakura Tribe Scout. And those cards have some pretty famous combos associated with them using this card, Retreat to Coralhelm. This enchantment allows us to either scry 1 on landfall or tap or untap a creature. This is often used alongside bounce lands like Simic Growth Chamber to create infinite landfall triggers. But Zimone and Dina take it a step further. As long as we can create a creature on landfall, like with a Scoot Swarm or a Seed the Land or a Zendikar's Royal to name a few, well then we can draw through our whole libraries. Let me explain. We tap and sacrifice a creature to activate Zimone and Dina. We draw a card and put a Simic Growth Chamber into play. This creates 3 triggers. Retreat to Coralhelm allows us to untap our commander. Scoot Swarm makes us a bug. And Growth Chamber returns itself to our hands. Now we've reset the loop and net an extra card in hand. We can continue this loop to draw every card in our library, and remain mana neutral. The biggest benefit being this doesn't cost us a single mana to activate. Once we have the pieces, we just pop off. The exciting part of this is that we've never had the tap to put a land into play effect in the command zone with enough color access to create a loop. This drives the consistency up significantly, since the only piece we can't really replace is Retreat to Coralhelm. With, say, Green Sleeves, Retreat to Coralhelm, and Walking Atlas, we make infinite 3/3 Badgers. With Rampaging Balos, Retreat to Coralhelm, and Sakura Tribe Scout, we can make infinite 4/4 Beasts. Heck, we can substitute in Bloodghast for anything that makes a creature on landfall as well, since we're in black. With a draw engine and sacrifice outlet in the command zone, we're looking at much more consistent, much scarier, combo-centric Sultai landfall decks coming. Keep your eyes peeled, this might be one to be wary of. And lastly, we have our Dominaria pairing of Shalai and Hallar. This 4-mana Naya team-up is a 3/3 Angel Elf with Flying and Vigilance. They have the triggered ability of when one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Hallar deal that much damage to target opponent. If that looks familiar but you can't place where, cast your mind way back to last set. All Will Be One gave us the card All Will Be One, which I still find confusing. But I did a whole video on brewing a high-powered or CEDH deck around the Red Terror and All Will Be One. In the video I said the only thing really holding us back was that our unique combo piece wasn't in the command zone and that we didn't have access to more colors. Well, as if Wizards heard my pleas, they gave us these two. Now we have an All Will Be One effect in the command zone, meaning the combo with the Red Terror is more effective and more efficient, as well as being more versatile. If we have both our commander and the Red Terror out, we go infinite as long as we deal any damage with a red source. A counter gets put on the Red Terror, Shalai and Hallar deal 1 damage to an opponent, then the Terror gets another counter and we loop. Easy and quick and can be done on like turn 2 or 3. There's also the possibility of creating a loop with Archangel of Thune and your commander. If you're able to give Shalai and Hallar lifelink, you could be doing huge swaths of damage and pumping your entire board. This creates another loop where you can ping down all of your opponents as soon as you deal any kind of damage with a lifelinker. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention combos within combos, like Grumgully combos. Anything that puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature on enters the battlefield combos with persist creatures, like Kitchen Finks. You see, a persist creature dies and returns to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it as long as it didn't have a -1/-1 counter on it when it died. But this interacts really interestingly with +1/+1 counters, where putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it negates the counters. They wipe each other out, meaning you can be sacrificing a persist creature, returning it to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it, then using the Great Henge or the new Tribute to the World Tree or Rhythm of the Wild to put a +1/+1 counter on it. This triggers Shalai and Hallar to deal 1 damage, wipes out the -1/-1 counter and the +1/+1 counter, and allows the persist creature to be sacrificed again to continue the loop. Easy. Really, Shalai and Hallar are a dangerous commander to build. There are a lot of oops infinite combos with them that require only 1 to 2 additional cards. Be careful about trying to build a lower power version of these two because it may not be possible. So what do you think of these 3 infinite combo commanders? Have you been inspired to brew a new deck? If you have to subscribe and leave a comment about which of these is your favorite. While you're here, check out some of these great build your own pre-con brews, and as always folks, good luck and have fun.